and you give me a shotgun, forget about it. I just need a fucking mop.
Okay, Van Damme.
Oh, shit. I definitely do not have Van Damme's ass.
Oh my gosh, few people do.
Weird boners. Weird boners.
Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your hostess, and as always, I'm joined by my slippery little co-host, Lynn.
Slippery. I'm staying in room 2C.
And joining us again, the podcaster with a degree in terror, Tony.
It's apparently a ditty party here with all the baby oil, I guess. I don't know.
Tonight, we will be discussing the 2015 horror/mystery movie, House LLC, written and directed by Stephen Cognetti, starring Gore Abrams, Alice Bahlke, and Bellini. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. If you are listening on YouTube, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you're listening on Apple, please leave a 5-star review, especially if you're listening on Apple, because it really helps the podcast out. Okay, and I'm just going to put it out there. If any of you out there would ever like to commission a movie for somebody for a birthday or for yourself, something that you just want to hear us break down, we'll do it for a small pittance of $30. And the only reason I'm putting this out there is because we've been paying for this out of our pockets for like 2 years now. And even just one commission a month would help pay for the server. So I put it out there. If you want to listen for free, God bless you. Go ahead, listen for free. If you want to help out the podcast, go ahead, pick a movie for yourself. It could be anything.
The worse, the better.
Exactly. And if you want to... if you would like to request Neighbors with Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi for a rewatch, we will do that and give it a better score.
We will not, because I will never watch it again.
Okay, there you go. Okay, let's get into some opening thoughts on House LLC. I will get us started. So, of course, if you listen to the show, you know that I've never seen this movie before, right? But I have now. And was it any good? I don't know. Let's find out. Tony, you picked the movie, so I know you've seen it.
I have seen it. I heard about it. I was like, oh, another found footage movie. Jesus Christ, there's so many. But all right, a friend of mine said he thinks I'll like it. And I sat back. I watched this low-budget, independent, hey, we have an interesting location. Let's write a story around it. And it's hard to scare me. It's hard to make me get creeped out. And there was enough in there that struck every nerve with me. Like I have a fear of things out of the corner of your eye that move or don't move. And this movie fucking taps into every single one of those fears.
Or don't move and then move.
And even worse. Even worse.
Even worse. Yeah.
So yeah, this movie really affected me the first time I saw it, and I was so impressed with it. And I've fallen in love with the series. Unfortunately, the acting gets really, really choppy. The stories get a little weaker. But man, the fucking scares are solid in every single entry. The last being shockingly one of the best. Part 4, but we'll get to that eventually.
Nice. Dylan, had you ever seen House LLC before preparing for this podcast?
I had not. The only reason I even knew about it was because Tony had mentioned it, and I know he's got the creepy clown in his house. And,
yes, he does.
And of course, I'm scared of creepy clowns, so I was like, I don't think I ever want to watch that. And there he is. There's the creepy clown.
Yeah, I think besides just speaking visually, because I've never seen Terrifier, I've just seen the the promo pictures. I think that this clown, the main clown in this movie, is the scariest looking clown I've ever seen, except for maybe Terrifier, just visually. I don't know what Terrifier is about, but just visually.
It's a riot. It's an
very
itchy
gory.
and scratchy cartoon come to life. It's completely over the top. Like you laugh more than you're disgusted and laughing equally, in my opinion.
Well, we'll have to do it because I'm interested.
All right.
Okay, let's do some quick facts on this one. So I've got a couple. After one of the scares, Paul runs out of the strobe light room and vomits. That was real and not scripted. The actor threw up for real on camera, and they left it in, which I thought was great. At 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 35 seconds of the film, the date on the monitor clearly shows recording date as of 5/10/2014, not 10/8/2009. And they also left that in the movie. So I thought that was pretty cool. Tony, you got any facts?
They'll all come out through. I mean, any facts I have are kind of, I'm not going to say spoilers, but they go along with the story. It's just,
Okay.
it really just comes down to it. It's the place is still a functioning haunt in Pennsylvania, and it's something I'm shocked that I haven't made it out there yet. But the pilgrimage is there on my calendar to get to, and you can do overnights, and
Oh, wow.
you pay extra to stay in room 2C.
Nice.
So
Oh
it's
my
just
God.
it's awesome. They've really done a good job with
Well, that's smart.
keeping the
That's
lore
smart.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very cool.
That's not a vacation I'll be taking. Tony, you could bring your fucking life-size fucking creepy clown doll with you and like fuck everybody up at the hotel like in the middle of the night, set it up outside the bathroom or sitting on the toilet. How great would that be? Someone opens the door and that fucking clown is sitting on the shitter. Oh, I love it. Okay. Delynn, facts.
It kind of rides off what yours says, the date being wrong. I read somewhere online that if you kind of like do the math out, like they say, oh, this was 30 years ago, but then they say the date that it happened, like it's really like the math is not tight. And there's at one point where they're like 19 days until opening, but when you actually do the math back, it wasn't 19 days. But it's like, who cares? Like that's like nitpicky stuff. And they were like, well, this means that the director wasn't really, sharp on the details. And it's like, who cares? If it's a good movie, who cares? I'm not taking out my calculator and doing the math. Like,
the director is the director, the writer, the producer, and the editor. Give the guy a fucking break.
yeah, I'm not doing the math out. I'm just going to ride with it. I'm going to roll with it.
Yeah, this isn't Star Trek, okay? We don't need people coming out of the woodwork like, fucking light speed would never work like that. Okay. Let's do a box office on this one. So I thought this was really interesting. This movie was made for $25,000. All right. I built a fucking addition to my house that cost twice that. So, I mean, they fucking did this movie on 25 fucking K. And when I read that, I had done this part of the research before I watched the movie and I was like, ruh-roh, this isn't going to be good. I was like, oh shit. Like, what can you do for 25K? I think Kevin Smith spent like 3 times that doing Clerks. So I was like, what are we going to watch here? Because, I mean, as much as I love Clerks, it's like, come on,
You see the budget.
Oh, you see the budget. The budget hits you in the face like a fucking trout. I don't know. So this actually, for 25K, it reportedly generated 8 figures in streaming and rental revenue, which is insane. I didn't really mention the 16K it made at the movies because it only opened in, from what I gather, was like a handful of cinemas, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was minimal.
Yeah, but I mean, wow, what a return they got on this, which is why I'm guessing they made fucking 4 of them, right? So there you go. For and basically everything I read was that this really proves that you can make a great horror movie on a itty bitty tiny budget. So There you go. All right, so I am going to do a Fast 5 tonight. We had done away with it, but I've been having fun bringing it back here and there. I know Tony enjoys them, so I put this one together for Tony. I won't even be putting the questions out to Delynn, and whatever Tony says tonight will be the correct answer because I have no idea. Okay?
All right.
So here we go. Hopefully this isn't a flop. Fast 5 tonight is going to be Found Footage Showdown. Footage Showdown. So here we go.
All right.
So number 1 is going to be the 1999 Blair Witch Project or the 2007 Paranormal Activity. Tony, which one is better?
You cannot choose. That is like, which child do I love more?
Actually, I have seen both of these, so I know the right answer.
Well, I mean, Blair Witch started it if you're going to ignore Peeping Tom and you're going to ignore Cannibal Apocalypse. So, I mean, Blair Witch marketing was completely off the charts, reinvented the genre, created the genre. Paranormal Activity brought it to a whole new level. I mean, that reignited. After Blair Witch, every copycat, anyone with a cell phone, anyone with a camera was creating them. But the only one to get it really, really right was Paranormal Activity. But you got to give it to the godfather of Blair Witch, without a doubt.
Okay, so I have seen both of these. I saw Blair Witch in the movie theater, and I am ashamed to say that I thought that was real found footage.
No, I think a lot of us did.
Yeah,
A lot of people did, yeah.
I literally did. I had no idea until long after I'd seen the movie. When I say long after, I mean within a month, because I was really into the whole thing after I watched it. So it really scared me, but it definitely had problems, exposition-wise, for me, that we'll get into with this film. And then 2007 Paranormal Activity was one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. I don't like movies like that for the reason that it could happen. Like, the chance of a killer clown attacking you in your house, pretty slim. The chance of you waking up with your wife standing over you, chanting, fucking, I love Satan, Satan is good, is possible. So,
Especially with Delenn, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, the correct answer is Paranormal Activity, because it's so fucking scary. Okay.
All right.
Number 2, the 2014 Creep or the 2010 Troll Hunter.
Creep. Troll Hunter blew me away with its special effects. But again, it's more fantasy. Creep was really, really good, and that's one that could happen. It's a woman who falls asleep on the subway, ends up in the end of the line, and there's something that lives in the subway. We'll just leave it at that.
Nice. Okay, number 3, the 1980 Cannibal Holocaust or the 2015 Be My Cat, a film for Annie.
I didn't like Be My Cat.
Okay.
And just because I felt it was, when I finally saw it, it was built up. And I just, poor Anne Hathaway, got to be associated with that because her name got dragged into it. Cannibal Holocaust is the godfather of the found footage. And it's notorious for its real life animal killings and the symbolic woman staked through the butt coming out the mouth. It's iconic. I'd have to go with that just for historical and horror symbolism. It's amazing, and it's landmark. So
I had originally had Cannibal going up against Man Bites Dog, but I didn't know if that was something you would have seen.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay,
Man Bites Dog is amazing.
Okay, well let's go Man Bites Dog versus Be My Cat. Which is better there?
Oh, Man Bites Dog. Be My Cat, I was not a fan of. Man Bites Dog is a black and white documentary about a French film crew that follows a serial killer. And
nice.
It becomes, instead of being passive, observers, he starts to recruit them, helping him to get footage of people and then disposing of the bodies. And they get more and more involved. It's a pitch black comedy.
Oh, nice.
But he's so charismatic that he wins you over and you trust him, which goes along with, should I be seeing this? Now, I'm sure it's not on this list, so I'm going to jump ahead. There's a movie called The Last Horror Movie, and it's easily in my top 5 of found footage movies, and I love found footage.
Cool.
It's basically when you rent it, it's literally looks like an 80s booby slasher Scream ripoff. And when you put it in, it starts off like that. It starts off with a woman in a diner and she's being stalked, and she turns around and there's the killer, and it goes to static. And all of a sudden there's a guy sitting there staring at you. And it turns out, I'm going to show you the things you don't want to see. He taped over the video that you just rented in the video store to show you his killings. And he's basically, there's one point where he has a couple tied up in a house after a home invasion, and he turns the camera away and he takes a hammer and he starts beating the woman. Now you don't see it, but all you see is her husband's reaction to him killing her.
Oh shit.
And then he turns it back to him. He's like, did you get mad that you didn't see it? You wanted to see what I was doing. You were curious. Am I the worst person or are you the worst person? It makes you, the moral compass that you sit there watching this movie with is beautiful. It's so set up so well. So if you're listening to this now, seek out The Last Horror Movie.
The Last Horror Movie from Tony with his degree in terror. If he says see it and you like horror, see it. Okay, right, number 4. There's 2 more. Number 4, 2015, The Visit, which I have seen, or 1998's The Last Broadcast.
The Last Broadcast, they say that the Blair Witch ripped them off. It was 2 guys in New Jersey investigating the Pine Barrens for the Jersey Devil. It's really dry. It's really long. It's not well done. I'm not a big fan of it. What was the movie it's up against? I already forgot.
The Visit.
I didn't like The Visit either. I didn't. The twist was decent because it's Shyamalan and Ding Dong, so it's going to have a twist. But I felt it wasn't. It was a PG movie, and I wasn't invested in it.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun. The Hansel and Gretel thing and the fucking.
Yeah.
I thought it was creepy, but I mean, again, this is one of those things like with The Strangers. It's like I'm whooping ass on Grandma and Grandpa. They're eating fists all day. Okay, so The Visit. Is that what we would say? Okay. Okay. And number 5, the final one, 2015's Hell House LLC or 2008 Lake Mungo.
Oh, fuck you. No. Oh, no. I hate Mungo is fucking amazing. Okay. It is a creep fest. It is one of those movies you watch and you're invested. The thing happens you think is going to be the climax, and you realize it's not. And once they start showing you what the real truth is, you're blown away because you've been staring at it the whole time and you didn't see it. It's such a revelation every movie. So I got to give that one major props. But man, Hell House, because of the lore it created the world, it created the clown, it created 3 sequels with a 5th one on the way. I love it. Hell House is easily like cream of the found footage. You didn't mention Wreck, which I'm disappointed. I thought you were going to go Wreck. Wreck is the Spanish found footage one of the remade as Quarantine in America, which was terrible. That's up there too. I think that rounds out. You've hit my top 5 found footages.
Yeah, I saw a couple of the more foreign ones. I just wanted to make sure that they were mainstream enough to where people listening to this that are into found footage horror could get like a little group of movies recommended by you to go see. So that's kind of what this Fast Five was all about. So there you go, folks. If you like found footage movies, I think we just gave you 5 that you could go see that you would really enjoy. And as you know, I do not usually gravitate towards horror movies, but I did watch one over the last few days called Speak No Evil. It came out in 2024. It's a remake. I have not seen the original. Tony tells me the original is a little darker, but I highly recommend this movie. Great actors, really fun story. It's dark, it's spooky. It's just a lot of fun. So there you go. All right, let's do a quick synopsis and then we will break down Hell House for you. 5 years after an unexplained malfunction causes the death of 15 tour-goers and staff on the opening night of a Halloween haunted house tour, a documentary crew travels back to the scene of the tragedy to find out what really happened. There you go. It's a win. Let's fucking do this thing.
All right, I'm going to preface this whole thing by saying there was no write-up online. I had to do this all myself, and I largely did it from memory after watching the movie. So if I screw something up, or if it's Tony or it's Mac and I'm saying the wrong name, I apologize ahead of time. You can just correct me. I won't take it personally. So
I also had a little trouble while doing my notes, remembering who was who, because a lot of these actors look very similar and I just was getting confused. I'd stop it and pause it and try and find the actor's name to match with the face. So Tony will just kind of like keep the boat in the right direction.
Keep it righted. Yeah, yes. One of the things I said to Des early on was I had a quibble with the fact that Diane and Sarah look so much alike that I was like, so who was at the building at the beginning of the movie? Was that Diane? Was that Sarah? Was it somebody else? Like, because they're both skinny, long brown hair, wearing it down. Like,
I mean, they're both women,
and you're introduced to them really similar, like at the same time. So it makes sense.
They're both women. That's about that. With
listen, there was no qualifiers. It wasn't like one of them had like a blonde streak in her hair. Just one little thing to set her apart. They looked very similar. Anyways,
yeah, these weren't twin sisters. Go.
You're an ass.
I love Satan. I love Satan.
Satan's our friend.
Tonight I'm over there. I'm like, Satan is good. Satan is our pal.
Yeah, okay. That's not possible. I lock my door at night.
You know I can get in. Anyways, our movie starts with a filmmaker named Diane arriving at a seemingly abandoned building and attempting to get in. As soon as she finds an open door and lets herself inside, we're transported back to a documentary-style introduction to Hell House inside the abandoned Abaddon Hotel and the deadly incident that happened 5 years prior. There are people that are survivors speaking and an overlying belief that the police police are refusing to tell us what really happened inside the haunted house that night. There is video that was uploaded to YouTube, shot by a haunt goer, that shows them entering the haunt. It all seems rather mundane as far as haunts go until a clown goes running past them toward the exit. Then a woman, not in costume, also runs by. The haunt goers wonder what's going on, chalking it up to open and night snafus, until they attempt to go down the stairs to the basement. People are jammed in the stairway, there is screaming, and then people start running back up. The YouTube footage shows the cameraman and his girlfriend escaping just as fire trucks and police arrive. So I appreciate that they don't overshare with this first scene because it would be easy to show you too much and then you kind of get uninvested in what it was. The whole point is that nobody knows what happened, and you're not supposed to know as soon as you start watching the movie either. The movie holds its cards close to its vest. It's building your anticipation. You know there's going to be a shit show at the end because people ended up dead, so you know that's coming. The use of the name Abaddon as a Supernatural fan, that perked up my ears immediately because that was a character who was a demon in Supernatural, and it was also a fictional town. It's supposed to be based on Syracuse, New York, but it was filmed in Pennsylvania, where Tony just said that there is still, that building is there running as a haunt, which is awesome.
Yeah, so right away when the movie started, I thought the director did a really good job of setting up the movie with a combination of past and present, right? Which you're going to expect from this. And he also mixed in some present day still shots. And he did this a few times in the movie, like with the original caretaker hanging. So he would give us these present day still shots with past videos of the exact same shot, right? Which I thought that was really cool. It engaged me right from the start with this movie. I also thought the whole found footage flavor felt very organic and real, especially from such unknown actors. I was not expecting good performances, and I thought these kids did a fucking really, really good job. This for me was on par with the Blair Witch Project right off the bat. And honestly, I thought it was a little more interesting because the addition of this creepy supernatural hotel a la like the Overlook from The Shining, it was a character in itself. You know, every time they take me down to the edge of this basement and look down and people would chicken out, it was fucking great. And I kind of knew where I was in this house at all times, you know? And I thought it was very good storytelling and it was very clever. And as good as the Blair Witch Project was, it got really bogged down with too much of this pointless arguing in the woods. And did this movie do that? We'll get into it. Tony, what'd you think of these opening scenes?
I dug them because they threw you right into chaos. And as Dylan said, didn't give you why. So right there they say, all right, we know there's murders. We know there's, like you said, shit show's going to happen. How do we get there? Now we're invested. We're going to take the trip with you to figure out what are the ways that we got there. Yeah, I mean, the introduction, the crime scene photos, I mean, it literally is set up like a real documentary. That's the thing I liked about it. They use historical footage, they use past videos, they use the quote current, and then they use the YouTube footage. So they're compiling all different aspects that you, as a documentary watcher, would have access to. So it's all right there. And the reveal is deliberate. It's not, here, we're going to lay out the sledgehammer plot right here. You're watching them. The way it's set up is literally, hey, we got the place. Now we're going to set it up. Now we're going to have problems. We're going to have technical problems. So you're seeing them as like celebrating, hey, this little special effects works. This one didn't. So you're going through the mundane with them, which endears you to their characters. Of the actors or the people who bought and set up the haunt. So you get to know them throughout the first 20 minutes. You're invested with them because they all seem like generally good people trying to set something up to do some good. You know, to have fun, to set up a haunt. And then you start to see the personalities come through and you see, all right, this guy's the asshole, this guy's the pain in the ass, this is the lazy one, here's the special effects. And it just, you can start to see who's taking things a little more seriously than others. And when things start to really fuck up, you care. Which is, again, rare in a found footage because usually you're only shown one or two shots before things start to happen. That was one of the big issues with a movie like Cloverfield. Everybody seemed like a business type asshole. So I didn't care until like literally midway through the movie we realized, all right, we're supposed to care about this person and this person, but it's like to me they were just generic. Whereas this one I actually dug who they were as people before we even really got to how things went down.
Yeah, I love one of the points you made too about the one camera thing. So in Blair Witch, the whole thing is shown through one, 8 millimeter camera or whatever it is. And in this, they were smart enough to give us lots of different portholes into this story. We're going to get the surveillance cameras. We're going to get the head worn cameras. We're going to get the fucking news reveals. We're going to get the still shots. We're going to get, dude, they tell you the
We're getting Diane's footage too.
Diane's
That's
footage.
what talking to the historian and to that photographer.
Yeah, they're going to let us watch this story unfold through a ton of different lenses. And it makes it so much more interesting than a movie like Blair Witch. So, yeah, kudos for that. Really, really strong storytelling visually in this movie.
Yeah, before we go any further, Tony, we all decided that we were going to watch the director's version. Have you seen both?
Oh yeah.
Is there a huge difference between the two, or just slight?
It's slight. I mean, it's expanded scenes. I mean, there's no major like revelation anywhere that's there. There's a few things that maybe do get revealed a little earlier.
Okay.
The reason why the owner of it was keeping things a little quiet, it's hinted at a little bit more. And on second and third watch, you pick it up in the director's cut faster than the regular cut, I feel.
Gotcha.
But there's
Okay.
no like extra scares. There's no extra going like the one revelation scene. It was just padding.
Gotcha. I just wasn't curious because I didn't have the time to watch the original.
If that's the fact, then I think this is the way to watch it, because I thought another charm of this movie was the pacing and the slow burn and the perfect timing of all revelations, setups, and payoffs. I thought that was a really strong point in this movie.
So Diane is very excited that a girl that disappeared from Hell House has resurfaced and offered her an exclusive interview. Sarah, one of the people that was running the haunt, and also the girlfriend of Alex, the man that was in charge, arrives and they begin their interview, and pretty quickly Sarah offers Diane a bag full of videotapes, explaining they were filming everything as they worked on the haunt, and it would show her what happened. The tapes start with the crew, Alex, Tony, Paul, Mac, and Sarah on their way to the Abaddon Hotel. When they arrive, the building is in rough shape and they decide to get working on it right away. These scenes are spliced in with interviews with a local historian and a reporter that went in and took some photos. I thought the scenes in the car slowed the action down a little bit, like showing them stopping to argue with one another and stuff like we could have just moved along on that. But this is a quibble. This is a small quibble. I get that they wanted to introduce us to the characters and who they were. You get that Alex and Mac are the serious guys. Paul and Tony are the jokers. Sarah kind of feels like she's along for the ride. She doesn't even know a famous scary movie when they're talking in the car on the way up. So, she almost seems like she's almost like almost a tag along a little bit. But she's invested.
She's the girlfriend. She's
the girlfriend. She's invested, even though she's tagging along a little bit.
So I completely disagree with what you just said, and I'll tell you why. So I thought Ryan Jones was the strongest actor in this movie. So having the story and the timeline basically run through her, I thought it was a smart choice because it kept this low-budget movie on the rails and feeling like a bigger budget movie. I thought she was a really great actress. I thought it was very important to show those scenes in the car because here's something that the director did. Now, I'm not going to say Stephen Cognetti telegraphed that Sarah was dead, because he didn't. But I do like that he planted a subtle seed with the lines like, I'm with family now, or I'm in a better place now. I mean, these are taglines for people talking about someone that died. And you get the crew saying, if I were her, I would have killed myself. So he's dropping little subtle breadcrumbs that this girl, something's weird about this girl. She's acting weird. She seems very docile. She seems very bogged down. And then he gives you these scenes in the car so you can compare this Sarah with the Sarah before the night of horror. And you're saying this is not the same girl. Something is off here.
Although you would think that was trauma, like a traumatizing event would do that to you.
But I liked being able to see her before and after. I thought it was very important.
Fair.
I also thought the interviews from the original night were really great, like the news reports. And I specifically thought it was so good because these fucking extras were really good for like literally probably uncles and cousins and brothers and friends.
I love the historian. He was great.
Yes, I was blown away by this part of the movie. I thought it was setting this thing up perfectly. Tony, what you got?
No, same thing. That's why I said I thought that the car ride up You got to know them. You got to know, all right, he's obviously the boss. It's like I worked hard to get this. It's like we're all on this. I need to make sure everybody's in on this. I like the fact that I'm not sure if it's in the first car ride or it's maybe a few moments after, but it's soon after. They drop a hint that there was an incident from a past haunt,
Yes.
and they don't tell you what it is. So now you're like, well, fuck, what happened there? All
Right.
right, he's obviously a suspect of something going on. So, the more creepy he asks, the more like I want to cover things up. But is it a determined owner who just wants success, or is it someone who has nefarious plans underneath everything? And with Sarah, you're right. I love the fact that all those hints are dropped early on. Second, third time through, oh fucking, you're Leo on the fucking couch. There's
Yeah.
that, and you start to see it all. I mean, she literally stops in the graveyard and stares blankly at a fucking grave. So it's like you see the characters reacting different ways. Like I said, the cameraman who's the jokester, when he gets scared, I believe he's scared.
Yes.
Unlike again, I keep going back to Cloverfield because it's the last one I saw recently. Hearing RJ, whatever the fucking actor is, he just screams a lot. But the actor who's holding the camera, I believed he was fucking terrified under the blanket in his own room. That scene fucking terrified me. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, I imagine that making a movie like this on a small budget with your friends in such a creepy place, it would be very easy to get lost in the role play of making the movie, and probably easy to muster up some real emotion, you know?
Oh, I think they just played themselves. I mean, that's the good thing about casting unknowns is everyone. It's like when someone comes in, it's like I need you for this role. All right, you don't work for that, but you work for this. I'm going to cast you here, here, and here, and they all just played themselves.
I fucking love movies where I don't know a single actor because I get
Exactly.
lost in them so quickly. Like, it's so hard to watch a guy like Tom Cruise or Harrison Ford or anybody really that I've seen in 12, 13 movies and get lost in their character, you know, no matter how good they play it.
But that's why Scream worked. Everyone
Yeah.
thought Drew Barrymore was going to be the star all the way through, and fucking boom, out in the
Yes.
first 10 minutes.
Yes. But
They set
this
the
was
rule
very
like
fun.
anyone can go. Yeah.
This was very fun for that reason. And, you know, Blair Witch, that's why I think that fooled so many people, because you're not used to walking into a big budget movie theater and seeing nobody you've ever seen before.
Shortly after they start setting up the haunt, including cameras that refuse to work in the basement, we get treated to our first indication something is wrong. Doors start opening and closing, and when Paul walks by a room, a hooded figure in black can be seen standing in the corner of a room. Later, Paul thinks Tony's playing a trick on him with a black and white clown, only to find Tony sitting in another room. Completely upset, he shows his footage to Alex, Mac, and Sarah, who refuse to believe that this actually happened and think Paul and Tony are trying to prank them. The scene with the clown made me shit my pants. I mean, let's just be honest. It did. That thing fucking turned its head and looked at it, and I fucking jumped out of my chair. It went from 0 to 100 at that point.
They made the point of saying in the basement, with like, this fucking clowns
head won't
can't use
move.
them. The head doesn't move. It's literally locked in. What do we do?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the clown's heads turn. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
no,
just,
it
so good.
fucking scared the living daylights out of me. And then, considering that Paul and Tony are the jokesters, they're the pranksters, you can't blame the others for not believing them, you know? And, obviously Paul is completely freaked out because it happened to him. And, but you kind of can't hold it against the others for being like, we know you guys, you know you're joking. So...
Yeah, so we get this scene at the bar where all the boys are sitting around, they're drinking beers, all the crew, and they're talking about the time they tried to unsuccessfully scare all the girls at the Queen's Haunt, right? But they got laughed at. It didn't work. Now, this exposition, just like Tony too, with them saying, the fucking clowns' heads don't move. This is never going to work. So this exposition, very important to the movie because it explains why when things start happening, nobody's panicking and leaving, right? It explains why things are so scary. We also learned that they're bringing in Joey, a giant crazy actor that they've used before. Unlike in Blair Witch Project, where a lot of the exposition is just boring, pointless screaming and arguing to get us to the next scene, where you start to kind of just tune it out and just wait for the next thing to happen. This movie has me paying attention right from the jump because I'm noticing that a lot of the stuff they're talking about matters and immediately is paying off. So it really tuned me in to all of it. And, the plot is just moving along really well for me. It's like this slow burn. There's setups, there's payoffs. right from the beginning. The pacing, I thought it was really great. This heavy exposition could have dragged the movie down. It definitely didn't. The director also did a nice job of quickly setting up things like the walkie-talkies not working downstairs. I loved it. He packs a lot of plot device into every scene, which is good storytelling, and it's keeping me engaged in this movie because I am now looking for the payoffs as the story is unfolding, and it's just making me watch and pay attention, and it could have so easily gone the other direction. And finally, we get the first really creepy scene where Gabriel is hanging the dummy up, right? And it's so simple but effective. We get one ominous note of music. Then we see the shadow figure. Then the door slams. The build to this part of the movie was fucking awesome, and it had me so excited for the rest of the ride. I was scared. It was great. Tony.
No, just as I've said so many times in this podcast, the biggest sin a movie could do is set up a universe and set up a world and then not follow its own rules.
Yeah.
And I felt that this one nailed it. And again, we could quibble about a date on a videotape and whatever.
Sure.
But the rules it set up, things don't work in the basement. Videotapes don't come out. So they're trying to film things that are weird down there and they're not working. They've given us a reason why.
Yes.
So now we can't wait to see what the fuck is going on in the basement. You've set my expectations up so largely. I was almost afraid of, like, when I do see it, this isn't going to work. But man, they fucking nailed it because it's so realistic, because it's low budget, low lit. Everything is chaos. The screaming, the end when everything literally comes to fruition, we'll say. It's chaos, and it lives up to what they said it was going to. And I didn't think that was possible with a no-budget movie.
You're right.
But when, again, I know I'm getting ahead, when the wall goes away and everything starts coming out, I'm like, that impressed the shit out of me, because that was the last thing I expected to happen. I expected there may be like some hooded things, which did happen. But when that did, it added a whole nother level of, they really went to make the scene the highlight of the movie, because they knew it was the payoff. And he did a great job with it. It's like, I can't, again, it's another one of those movies I'm going to gush all over it. I just can't do it enough. He really did. And again, setting up tension, it's easy to do jump scares. And this movie did it. Because any found footage, you have no peripheral vision. It's literally just, this is what I'm seeing. So when you spin a camera around and something's in your face, you're going to jump.
Yes.
It's just a human reaction. But to set the dread up is fucking terrifying. And we haven't gotten to the scene yet, but the strobe scene, when they're making sure the strobes are working, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
That, you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting. They let it drag for like a good minute that they didn't have to. And then it happened. So we'll get to that. So carry on.
Tony, you make such a great point about two things. One, you can't trust anything in this hotel. So yeah, maybe a date's wrong on a camera. Maybe you don't. It's like in that movie 1408. You can't trust the hotel. Things are fucked up, especially electronically. One.
Yep.
Two, the jump scares. These are not your cheap jump scares where something jumps out of a closet or like that's not what this is. These jump scares are like a clown slowly turning its head. It's more of this like terrifying revelation that what you thought was a dummy might possibly be a maniac killer clown. It's great. It's great. It's a different kind of jump scare that I've never seen. Not the cheap cat out of the closet, let's say.
Speaking of the strobe scene, it should belong in this next section, and I forgot. So you can talk about it when we get through this next little bit here. My apologies. Because as soon as you mentioned it, I was like, oh, God damn it, I forgot the strobe scene. One night, Paul is lying in bed, and he sees somebody behind him. He thinks it's Sarah sleepwalking. Later, he wakes and hearing noises, he goes to the hallway and finds the black and white clown standing there. Tony joins him and they decide someone's messing with him and they decide to take the clown back downstairs. As they're carrying him down, they notice Sarah standing towards the wall, chanting unintelligibly. Waking her and comforting her, they notice that the clown is now gone. A few nights later, Paul wakes to find a young girl sitting on his floor. Terrified, he hides under the sheets but she attacks and Paul disappears. The next day, everyone's pissed that he left, but the show must go on. So everybody just kind of decides it's okay that their friend's missing. The scene in the bed bothered me a little bit because I'd be screaming my fucking head off. You're just a few feet from other people. Like, wouldn't you scream instead of just like you would hide under your bed?
Not in this instance, and I'll tell you why. But go ahead.
Okay. That being said, I feel like Alex's behavior, anytime somebody brought up the locations past, was suspect. When he's talking to the haunt girl, the girl that is the local, that's going to be down in the basement, he knew what was happening there. He knew exactly what happened there, and he kept it from the others. And while that's shitty, there's another wrinkle. The Google Maps Street View thing that they talk about, where there's only the one person in the picture from the Google Street Maps, and it was taken far before the haunted house moved in, and it's Alex.
Yeah.
So I think he's already under the influence of whatever's in that house when he brings him up there. Like
this
was
Jack
not
Torrance.
a coincidence. Yeah,
this
was
Jack
not a
Torrance
coincidence.
in the Overlook. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't think Jack Torrance was under the influence before he got there. I think Alex was. I think something happened back in Queens that put him under the influence to make him bring them there.
No.
Tony disagrees.
Well, the thing is, you find out, I don't know if it's part 2 or 3,
Oh, okay.
he actually went there and worked out a deal with the dead owner to bring people there.
Okay.
To get more
the one who
souls.
hung himself.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm zoning on his name, but yeah, the owner
Yes.
who ran the cult, he actually met with him. He didn't know who he was at the time, but he met with him. He's like, I need you. No, he's like, all right, I can't afford this. Money's no object kind of situation.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because I was trying to figure out, was he renting? Did he buy it? Was it a lease situation? They're stealing electricity? Like, I was trying to figure out how this all happened.
Well, that's what he was saying is that, like, we can't just quit this. I'm sorry you guys are all scared, but we have too much invested in this.
Yeah.
He never said too much money.
Right.
He has too much invested.
Yeah.
He basically sold his soul to bring all of them there. Now, again, I'm going to make you fuckers watch 2 and 3 eventually. We'll get to those, whatever. But they literally, I think it's part 2, when the next people wander in, Alex and Tony are sitting at one of those tables as a lost soul in the sequel.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Again, I'm giving way too much away, but it comes down to Alex definitely knew what was going on. Whether the director at the time of writing the first one, I'm making a movie, I'm just going to throw everything and see what sticks. If he had this plan out and have sequels planned, fuck you. Good for you. You fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
But the way you were right, he was suspect. He did know what was going on beforehand, and he brought everybody there anyway, so he was a dick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's shitty to not give everybody a heads up, like, hey, just so you know, there was a fucking weird cult here. And, like, you go down into the basement and there's fucking pentagrams and shit on the wall. Like, maybe you should be like, yeah, so I know that there was a cult here before. It's all cool. He was just like, nope, that didn't happen. It's like, dude.
Yeah. So for some reason, when Paul is laying in bed, the camera goes from September 8th to September 5th. And I was a little confused by that. But I immediately forgot about it when the shadow figure starts creeping up to the bed. And Delyn said that, he'd be screaming, but no, it's already been established that everybody fucks with each other during these fucking haunts. And, he was just laughing. He thought it was one of the girls, and that's fine. But what I thought was clever about this scene.
I don't know. I thought he sounded absolutely terrified.
Oh, it was totally. Dude, I sat there as soon as the light flicked on and I saw what was there.
No, wait. We're in the wrong.
And I think that's the little girl. That little girl is the mother and the daughter that disappeared. That little girl is the daughter.
You guys are in the wrong scene. This isn't the scene where the girl flashes and gets closer and flashes and gets closer. In this scene, he's laying in bed.
We're not talking about that. You jumped ahead to that.
I was doing that.
I'm sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
Did you read section 4 yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that's where we are in the movie. We haven't got to that part of the movie
I was talking about the girl and the zombie girl under the bed covers.
Which doesn't come until like 5 or...
I just read it. You're not listening to me.
You're completely out of sync
You're
with
not
the
listening
story.
to me.
You're completely out of sync with the story.
You're not listening to me.
Okay, you're reading the story out of sequence, but that's fine. So the next scene that actually happens in the movie is Paul is laying in bed and he's talking to the camera. And we see the black shadow figure walk into his room while he's talking.
Yes.
Yeah. And he just blows it off as one of the other people dressing up and fucking with him, which is, I thought was great. And, as the viewer, I know it's something dark and ominous. As him, he thinks it's a friend, which I thought was way scarier because I see the danger that he doesn't see. And this, for me, 1,000 times scarier than a slasher movie. This is sinister. This is creep scare. And I love it. we get a little exposition explaining that the first responder found the Hell House actor with their throat cut by a self-inflicted wound. And this exposition is set under images of the Hell House crew having fun and laughing and tossing a ball around. Again, this is clever because immediately I'm asking the same question as the narrator. What the Hell House happened? See what I did there? Yeah, it's really great slow burn without getting boring. I love that at this point, the investigator says we may never know what happened. And that is just, again, you're threatening me with not telling me where the slow burn is going. And it's making me more desperate to know and hoping that he's going to wrap the story up with a great finale. Now we meet Joey Scheffler, right? Oh, this is the perfect character to introduce here in the movie. And this is what's so great about this storytelling and so great about the pacing of this movie. We are definitely meant to think that he is a potential protagonist, right? Like they are offering this character up as maybe this is the killer.
Oh yeah, because they found him at a gas station.
Right.
And he was like, well, was he working there? And he's like, I don't know. He was just there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that seems creepy.
Yeah, but all we know for sure is that he killed himself and never spoke about what he saw. So this is great. We do get a quick line from Alex telling Melissa that Joey will be with her in the basement at all times, which is extra creepy because now you're thinking he's going to fucking kill her. He's the killer. Is this a misdirection? Is Joey the killer? I don't know. We also get some more backstory from Melissa on the hotel's history, alluding to it being an evil, possible satanic entity in itself. The director is laying out several possibilities, and I am having fun watching it unfold and decide which path it's going to go down. I have a lot to unpack here. I'm sorry. We also get the legend of Andrew Tully, adding another possible protagonist. Is it the evil spirit of Andrew Tull? Or the demon that drove him to murder and suicide? Again, great storytelling. Lots and lots of possibilities to explore here. We get the great still shot of Tully hanging in the dining room. It's so good. And finally, the scene of the clown staring down into the basement and then turning its head. Wow. They've given us no gore, no kills, no nothing, but I am shitting my pants and creeped out by imagery, and that is just really great. When it turns out not to be Alex, it's one of the spookiest reveals ever. They're checking the footage. Come on. It's fucking amazing. The scene of them walking down the hall that Lynn was talking about with the strobe light imaging. So I found myself doing this a lot in the movie. I'll get to a couple other scenes where this happened, where I thought I was being clever, more clever than the movie. I was catching things going, wait a second. Every time this flashes, something's changing. So I'm backing it up and watching it. And then finally they reveal, yes, you're seeing this image changing between flashes of the strobe. Oh, it's so fucking good. And it's so Rob Zombie. These fucking images are so good. And finally, this scene with Sarah staring at the wall. So this is slightly ripped off from the Blair Witch, but it's fine. It was amplified 1,000 times with the addition of the clowns. This scene is fucking horrifying. And let's not forget the final scene we get of Paul and the creepy girl, finally. Yes, this is terrifying, and I agree with you guys. I don't think I'd be hiding under the covers. I'd be making a run for that fucking door, but I'm glad he didn't, because fucking I was like, oh, it was cinematic porn. Every time he'd pull the covers down and look again, she was closer. Ah!
Yeah, that's the little girl I was talking about. That little girl, remember how they say Tully, like a woman and a daughter disappeared in the building?
Yeah.
That's the daughter. That's the daughter, if you ask me. I mean, it just makes sense.
I thought the little girl was Sarah, to be honest with you.
See, I did too. I thought it was Sarah who was possessed at that point.
Yes.
So
I didn't think it looked like Sarah, but maybe it was. But see, this is the thing where everybody looks so much alike. I get confused.
I thought it did look like. I thought the paintings and everything looked like Sarah. For me, I felt like it was obvious they were trying to tell us this is Sarah.
That was the funny thing, is they did, again, I'm getting sequels ahead. Andrew Tully's, the painting that's over in the bar over the fireplace is Andrew Tully's daughter. That looks like Sarah, and they mention it, saying, "Wow, she kind of looks like you." That comes into play in other sequels.
Interesting.
which
Okay.
is fun. So they build everything as a building block for more lore, and it just gets
Yeah.
you more and more involved and invested in the storyline. You want to find out the ending of all of them. The best part about it, they literally pay off everything they set up. Every question you have is more or less answered either with a comment, a visual, or an explanation. And that's
Yep.
something that's rare with this many threads that they're laying out. To go back, hallway scene, the strobe scene, fucking terrifying. When we watch The Strangers, that is the shit that terrifies me. If you're not looking at something and you're not expecting it, you might miss it. You might not know that there's only three things, and then all of a sudden there's four. Like in The Strangers, he comes out of the doorway, stands there, and then leaves. If you're just watching her light a cigarette, you're not seeing that completely fucking nightmare fuel image of that baghead standing behind her. This movie is full of those images because there's so many more that I point out when I'm showing people this movie. That's as we said before. When I watch movies with people, I watch the people watching the movie to see their reactions. Did you catch that? No. What was it? I missed it. There. And this movie is full. This whole series is full of background scares that he intentionally puts in to see if you're going to catch them. And when you do it, it's terrifying.
That almost reminds me of Mike Flanagan, The Haunting of Hill House, with all the ghosts standing, and you could completely miss them most of the time. Like probably like 90% of the time, you don't even notice them, and you have to go back and like look for them, which was amazing. So
brilliant. That
Yeah.
whole fucking series, I can't even.
yeah.
Dude, if I went down to get some water at 3:00 in the morning, and those three protagonists from The Strangers were in my kitchen, both girls and the guy, all armed with butcher knives, I would fucking go through that crew like a hot knife through butter. I'd be whooping fucking ass on them.
You are stronger than most people.
And you
guys.
give
You
me
are
a fucking
force to be reckoned
shotgun?
with.
No, Tony, come on. Those three in your house at 3 in the morning, you're going through them like fucking, like Kramer at a karate studio.
We've watched a few movies, so we have ways to deal with it. But yes, I can see what you're saying.
And you give me a shotgun? Forget about it. I just need a fucking mop. Okay.
Okay, Van Damme.
Oh, shit. I definitely do not have Van Damme's ass.
Oh my gosh, few people do. All right, let's move on.
There it is.
The night before the open.
Weird boners. Weird boners.
Oh, shit.
The night before the opening, the team is woken by piano playing downstairs. They investigate, assuming it's Paul. When they get to the front room, no one is there. They end up in the basement when Tony witnesses the clown's heads move. When they finally decide to go back upstairs, they find Paul sitting quietly, non-responsive. The next day, they leave him sleeping in his room while everyone else prepares for opening night. Shots from the haunt-goer's camera is now interspersed with camera shots from the team, revealing what actually happened in the basement. Hooded figures appear, and the clown bodyguard bolts, leaving the actress to her death. We see her pulled into a hole in the ground. Haunt-goers scramble to get outside, but an emergency door shuts and some can't get out. Sarah and Mac run up to the attic where they witness Alex hanging from the rafters. The hooded figures are right behind them, and they attack Mac, and Sarah appears to escape. So, let's pause here. The whole movie has been building up to this, to what really happened. I was not disappointed. This is a case like Jaws. Don't show me too much. Show me just enough so that my brain can fill in the blanks. I think if they had over-explained this or overshown, I don't think I would have enjoyed it. If one of the hooded figures started talking and explaining something, it would have sucked. The fact that you know nothing, it makes it awesome. Also, what do you guys think? Was there even a door to get outside down there? Or was there just no door? Because at some point, one of the haunt guys goes, there's a door here. They'll just exit there. And everyone goes, oh, okay. They never show you the door. You never see the door. I don't think there's a door.
It's supposedly a bulkhead that's locked. But
I don't think there's a door at all. Because it's like you never see it. You never see it open.
Right.
You never see anyone coming in and out of it. You've never seen that door. As far as you know, you walk over there to the exit and there's nothing there but a stone wall.
It was
That
the freezer.
basement is a portal to hell, okay?
Yeah,
Basement is
pretty
a
much.
portal to hell.
Yeah.
There's no fucking door, okay?
No.
So when they head downstairs to investigate the piano playing, right, I noticed a large cut of meat in the kitchen, and they make a point of showing it to you twice. There's nothing on this rack but this giant hunk of fucking meat. And I love it. And then we get a quick glimpse of a creep in the doorway. Okay. These little subliminal details are what make this so fucking good and scary. And I kept stopping it and rewinding it to make sure that I saw what I thought I saw. I must have done this 5 times during the movie. And I thought that the director had a really, really good eye for timing because he did it just enough to where I saw just enough to go back and look again. Unlike in Fight Club, where I thought that they didn't hang on these still shots of Tyler Durden long enough, this was done perfectly. Like, it forced me to look again. And then it also put me on high alert for the rest of the movie because I was looking for little Easter eggs everywhere, right? This guy was a genius at keeping me engaged with the movie. This frantic search for Paul leading the victims to the basement, so good. And the payoff of the killer clowns in the basement, even better. When the clowns' heads moved, I shit my pants. This trick, if it wasn't done so well, it would have been overplayed. I would have been like, oh no, not the clowns moving their head again. But not only did it work good and did I not ding it for doing it again, I wanted more. Because every time it happened, it was just as effective. I love these fucking clowns. I love these fucking clowns. I thought having this scene, though, diffuse with some jokes and an argument was an interesting choice because once they locked themselves in the freezers and the clowns were outside, I was sure this is where we're going to get some kills, right? But we didn't. And it almost didn't work until the cut scene to the field where Andrew reveals a secret to Tony, but not us, the viewer, adding to the slow burn, right? So I'm just getting this to last a little bit longer instead of this guy giving me like half a cum shot. He's going to make me wait, and he's going to give me the whole thing at once. I'm assuming that it had something to do with the satanic diary that Alex found. So we kind of have an idea of what the secret is. And
was that diary? It felt like it was somebody that worked with the haunt. Was it Sarah or somebody else? Because it looked like there was ideas for things.
No, it was Paul was fucking doing the fucking...
Oh, it was Paul.
He was fucking doing the auto writing. He was being possessed. If the creepy clown scene wasn't so damn good, this might have been too slow of a burn, but it absolutely wasn't because it still had me fully invested. I thought it was great. And finally, we get the opening night. And this reveal to the slow burn was well worth the wait. You know, the combination of the Torgor footage with the surveillance cameras and the head-worn cameras, unbelievably effective instead of just giving me the one fucking eye to watch it through. I love the first sign of trouble is Joey running scared. And we know he's a tough psycho security guard. He's the muscle. He's the heavy in the movie. So to see him running off, it really just added to the anticipation for this final reveal. From the basement scene on, this really had the feel of a real tragedy caught on film. And I struggled with making this comparison, but I think I have to because
don't do it.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Rhode
do
Island.
you?
Rhode Island.
Okay, yeah. So it really reminded me of the footage from the station fire.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much so. And it made it that much more authentic and horrifying for me. Because if you've ever watched that, it's the most horrifying thing you'll ever see in your life.
The most awful thing you'll ever see.
It's the most awful thing. It really makes your heart break for anybody involved in that. And this director bottled that flavor for 20 minutes. And he nailed it so close, I had to really take my hat off to him. It was so fucking satisfying. Tony, sorry it went on so long, but...
No, it's all right. Yeah, it's just the build... We know that something... The whole movie has led to this. Like Dylan said, it's like... We're finally getting the payoff. And we see all the clips that we've seen before, we're seeing again, but in chronological order instead of just the chaos of clip here, clip there, clip there. So we literally go, hey, we're next. And we follow this person in. And we go through the crap, the silly haunts, the jumping ghosts out. Oh, the spiders fell from the ceiling. And then the clown runs by and you're like, oh, that's weird. And now you know, like, shit, this is where we're going to get to see it. We're going to see it. And like you said, it doesn't disappoint. We finally make it downstairs. The wall literally falls apart into hell. and the hooded figures start roaming out, and everything just goes to shit. The chaos, camera
Her
bumps,
screaming, "This isn't part of the show. This isn't part of
yeah.
the show." It freaked me out.
It's the panic, it's the realization, and everybody involved in the scene was fucking spot on. Like the terror, the scream, none of it was cheesy. Everyone, there was the oh yeah okay, and then it would be when you see the first person go down, the holy fuck, this is real, get out, and the camera turned, the mic being bumped, and then going to like no sound, like a real camera would. It's like it was so realistic, and it completely terrifying at the same time because now we see what has happened, and I don't know how it wasn't a letdown because it was built for 80 minutes. There's no way this path is going to be good, but somehow with no budget, they completely killed it and made it exactly what you needed it to be. It wasn't completely over the top because if it was, we wouldn't believe it. You know, it wasn't like this, the flames of hell rose up. It was literally a wall going away into smoke. Things came out. We've seen these things because we've seen them popping up in corners, in dark hallways, in the background. So we know they've been there. There's nothing there's no hellhound. That would be stupid. That would be cheesy. It's the stuff that we've been introduced to within this universe. He limited to, he kept it to, he followed the rules, and he delivered in fucking spades.
Yep.
So, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say also, do we agree that it's not a coincidence that Alex died by hanging?
Oh no,
just like
totally
Tully.
Yeah.
No, it's the perfect. It's the storyteller's trying to tell us something about the hanging, because everybody that is is leading the sheep to the kill ends up hanging themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So he's saying something with this.
Yes.
You'll see it again in the sequels.
Yes. But just the idea of a group of people going to have fun, seeing something that they imagine that they're supposed to see, so not detecting the danger until it's too late, and then seeing the panic. Wow, it's heavy.
Yeah, and it's realistic because we've all been in at least one situation in our life. We thought, oh, you're fucking with me, Oh my God, this is real. Yeah. Somewhere in your life, you've dealt with either a trauma, a car accident that you like, oh, I'll be fine. All of a sudden, shit's not fine. And the fear that you instantly feel, the fight or flight, the whole thing. This captures it so fucking well for a no-budget movie with no-name actors. I recommend this movie to everybody. It's like, you're going to love it. And I haven't heard one person come back and say, it was all right.
Where would you like me to start? I've got so many stories of trauma and tragedy.
Oh my God, is it therapy time again?
It could be.
We made it to an hour and 2 minutes before therapy came out this day.
I won't go there, but it was dark.
Oh, man.
Okay.
All right. Shall we wrap it up, guys?
Yeah, let's do it. Take us out.
All right. Back at the Diane Graves interview, Sarah claims to be really tired and asks if they can pause. She says she's staying in room 2C and to come and get her when they're ready to do some more filming. After she has her mic off, she asks Diane if she's been to the hotel. When Diane claims that it's all boarded up, Sarah asks, "Is that all that's stopping you? You should really go," which Diane leaves with her cameraman to go check it out, despite learning from the front desk that there is no room 2C. Once she arrives and goes back inside, we learn that her other tech is still back at the hotel reviewing footage. What he finds is the tape showing what happened after Sarah escaped the attic. She locates Paul near the exit. Thinking she's now safe, she hugs him before he beats her severely with the camera, and then she is dragged away by something off camera. Paul then slits his own throat. The tech tries to call Diane, but to no avail. Diane finds room 2C in the Abaddon Hotel and lets herself in, finding Sarah sitting on the bed with her back to them. As she enters, Sarah turns, and she's obviously dead. The door slams shut, and there are hooded figures in the room, and the tape cuts out. After an entire scary movie without any real blood, this scene with Sarah and Paul really made an effect. To me, it was like they weren't throwing blood at me the entire movie. So to now see it, it was like, and she's breathing and there's bubbles on her lips. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. But it was really effective. And as soon as she said she was staying in 2C, I recalled seeing the numbers on the doors back at the hotel at the Abaddon. So I was like, oh, here we go. So my spidey sense was already tickling, but I had not picked up quite yet that she was dead. I didn't know. So they got me. The other thing was, I said it before, that Alex was under control of something in the house all along, him avoiding talking about the property's past. The whole thing was very coincidental, him dying like the guy in the hotel in the 80s, Well, it's not coincidence, obviously. He like you said, he in later movies comes in and makes a deal with that guy. But they did a really good job telling us that without telling us that. You know what I'm saying?
So I love that Sarah is obviously a demonic tour guide from hell, suggesting this film crew take the death tour of Hell House. And in true horror film fashion, they cannot wait to line up to be the next slaughtered group of filmmakers, right? It's great. It's great. This final footage shot was fucking awesome. I wasn't expecting it. We see the bloody meat in the kitchen again, which I thought was amazing. We see the shadow people again. Paul kills Sarah and then himself before we see a group of new sheep led to the slaughter, right? But the creeps aren't finished yet. So we get a shot. So they're going through the kitchen, right? And we get a shot of the dummy standing in the doorway. It's the doll that's been there since the original night. And then she looks away and then the camera goes back and it's a dude standing in the doorway. And I was fucking, it was so scary to me. This whole final scene of Kate investigating the hotel, this is as creepy as anything I've seen to this point. If not scarier, because now I've seen what's happened there and she is fucking stumbling around like an idiot. Unbelievably satisfying end of the movie. Climaxing in room 2C with the ghost of Sarah and the devil killing Kate and her cameraman. Oh, it's so good. The end. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed the movie. Tony, what did you think of the end?
Loved it. Everything was set up perfectly. I mean, the revelation of, I mean, you know, when she, I'm tired, I'm gonna go. You're like, all right, this is fucking, something's going on, and the revelation that she was killed. I didn't see. I take pride in being 2 steps ahead of most movies, and I'm like this one because again, it's a no budget movie. It has no actors. They're not going to be this creative. Holy shit, were they creative? And they caught me off guard. And it was again told, paced, delivered, introduced, and wrapped up perfectly.
Yeah.
Once they're slowly again because we're seeing through a camera, we're climbing the steps. We see the door. The door opens. Backlit. The light is outside the window. All we see is her silhouette. And then when she turns around, there's the fucking face. Door slams behind them. The camera turns around to see the door. Turns around again. There's the hooded figures, like out of nowhere. Again, jolt, jolt, jolt. And there's your ending. And
Yeah.
the thing that these movies do is they take basic fears and introduce them. And again, some people, it's going to affect some people, and some people it's not. There's been people who like the movie, but they're just, it's not that scary. It's like, why am I scared of a dummy turning its head? I'm like, you're in the wrong frame of mind. You don't. I'm not going to say, I'll never tell someone you don't get it, but you have to be in a certain frame of mind, and you have to have a certain fear inside you of a certain thing for it to work. Like, people aren't terrified of the Blair Witch at all. Me, I hate being in the fucking woods, let alone the woods at night, let alone camping in the middle of the fucking woods at night. Anyone can fuck with you.
Weird noises.
There's nothing but a less than a millimeter of fucking nylon between me and death. And I can't see it, but it knows I'm in here. So fuck that shit. I don't do it. So that's why that's one of the most terrifying movies ever. So this movie, I'm going into someplace, and that's why I can't watch, like, on YouTube, we're going to go into this abandoned hotel and we're going to explore it. I don't know, because never mind anything supernatural, just a bum in there with a fucking insanity with a knife.
With a gun.
Yeah. So it's terrifying. The sequel starts off with one of the scariest scenes of anything. I don't want to give it away, but I feel like I need to talk about it because it's a YouTuber who's like, all right, guys, you've dared me to go in here. Here I go. It's always boarded up. And he goes up to the door, and the door creeps open. It's supposed to be locked.
No.
He opens the door,
no.
goes around, turns around, goes to the stairway up to 2C, and turns and goes one step in, and there's 2 legs standing there. You don't see who they are because, the way that when you're looking up a stair, there's the ceiling.
Yes.
And then it shows it stands there. I'm sorry, I'm going to go. But it stays there, and you see the time code. 1 hour goes by. 2 hours goes by. 3 hours goes by. And he's standing, the 2 legs are just standing there. And it's chilling. Fucking chilling.
That is chilling.
That's how the second one starts and just gets better from there.
Wow.
So, I mean, please watch this series. Watch this movie. Watch the series. just 5. I'm going to give it a fucking 5.
Oh shit. Okay. So that's it. We have broken down House LLC for you, Tony. I was also fooled. I did not see this thing ending up in room 2C with Sarah being dead. So bravo to the director. Okay, so let's recast it, and then we will get to our alternate endings. I have got an amazing recast. I'm going to recast Ryan, played by Jennifer Jones. I'm going to replace Sarah, who was played by Ryan Jennifer Jones. And I'm going to replace her with one Kristen Dunst. I think that would be an amazing replacement, as they look almost identical. Okay. Tony, what do you got?
I don't. I apologize. I didn't recast it and write an ending because I know where the series goes in the sequel, so I couldn't write a different ending. And I feel adding anyone with any kind of name would as we've said, would take us out of the movie because we know it's a star.
I also had, I was going to do Joey, the guy who played Joey. I was going to replace him with Willem from Clerk, from
Ethan Suplee.
Ethan Suplee. I think
that Ethan Suplee or in shape Ethan Suplee?
In between.
All right.
In between. Okay, Dylan, recast it.
So my recast is Heather Donahue. I chose her to play Diane Graves. She's now since changed her name to Ray Hance, but Heather Donahue was the girl from The Blair Witch.
Oh,
and
nice.
she would have been a little older when this movie came out. And she's retired from acting, but I think it would have been like that perfect little mwah, to back to The Blair Witch. Because I said to Des, this movie really feels like The Blair Witch without feeling like The Blair Witch at all. Like they took the smart things that The Blair Witch did and used them without ripping off The Blair Witch, which is like really tough to do, but somehow they did it. So I thought, a little nod back to her would have been nice. That was my recast.
That's a good one. I actually like that.
Yeah, this movie has so many more layers and so many more flavors than Blair Witch Project did. Okay, so let's do a couple of alternate endings. Tony does not have one today, but I have got a lovely one.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Good call.
So in my ending, after we see Kate and the cameraman get murdered in room 2C, we hear the piano and the camera travels downstairs to reveal Andrew Tully sitting playing the piano. And all the victims of Hell House sitting at a candlelit dinner table with the giant slab of meat from the previous kitchen scenes that is revealed to be the dismembered torso of Andrew Tully's murdered daughter as the main course on the table. The final shot is Kate's crew traveling to the hotel to search for the missing Kate and the cameraman. There you go.
Mine's kind of close to that. You ready?
Okay, let's hear it. Sure.
The movie goes all the way to the ending that we saw, but instead of ending there, the next shot is Diane sitting at an interview, much like Sarah had. She hands over a black bag that contains the crew footage and her own, explaining she's too traumatized by what she's learned to talk about it. She then tells them if they really want to know what happened, they should go and see for themselves. And meanwhile, she's going to go lay down in room 2C if they have any more questions.
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. You know what? You just got sick. So Dylan is a writer. She's written a couple of full-length novels, and she's been fucking bringing shit to this show for these endings. But now, after hearing me talk crap, she is finally taking it personally and beating me down week by week. Nice job, honey. I loved it.
Thank you.
Great fucking
Thank you.
ending.
Of course, I don't know what happens in the other movies. Diane may reappear. Who knows? But that was just my mind based on the one movie.
I liked it.
Des is actually almost spot on in a film.
That's so
Nice.
funny.
Nice. Cool.
Did you watch the other movies, honey?
I did not. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually looking forward to seeing the rest of these as we bring them up for this program. Okay, so there we go. Let's score it and log it. So when I saw the budget of $26K, I was nervous to hit play, but I was pleasantly surprised by the acting, storytelling, and levels of creepiness in this movie. I do wish the clowns had been a bigger part of the killings, as they were visually terrifying. I thought that, and I didn't want this to be Terrifier. I didn't want this to be a slasher movie, but I wouldn't have minded seeing that one super creepy clown like eat someone's Adam's apple or something. I don't know. It's fine though. But it was fine. It was fine. It was fucking amazing. Overall, this movie is fucking great. I thought it was actually better than Trick or Treat, so I gave it a higher score than Trick or Treat, just slightly. It's a 4.15. And with a bigger budget and more clown on victim violence, it could have gone into the high fours for me. So 4.15, that's my score. Delyn, what's your score?
I really liked it. And I really thought I was going to hate it. I got to be honest with you. I was like, scary clowns, fuck that shit. I'm not going to like this. I definitely spent a little bit at the beginning doing this thing, covering my eyes, because I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it. And it ended up being really, really good. So again, like he said, I have to score it better than I scored Trick or Treat because it's better. It was amazing that with that budget, I think that this was a better movie, but I just do. Different, but better to me. I'm going to give it a 4.35.
Nice. And Tony, what's your score on this one?
I mean, shit. I've been preaching this movie since the night that I saw it. Like, I called a bunch of people. You've got to see this fucking movie. Come over tomorrow night. I want to watch it again. I mean, I literally bought the fucking clown. So I mean, I'm invested in the series here. I love the sequels. I cannot wait for the next one, part 5, to come out. It's just the legend. It's just getting bigger and bigger, and they're doing a great job of it. And again, as things go on, things get a little sillier here and there. The acting is a little spottier, but what are you going to do? Again, for the first one, for what it is, for the budget, for the acting, for the pacing, for everything, I don't throw out 5s. I mean, I feel like lately I have because they've been some of my favorite movies, but I got to give it a 5. I found nothing wrong with this movie, and it's so rare to make me not want to walk down my hallway to go to bed for fear of what's at the end of my dark hallway.
Nice.
That doesn't happen to me, and this movie fucking got me there. That second scene with the clowns turning their head, fuck that shit. And let me tell you, they realized the clowns were the star of this movie, and from part 2, 3 on, the clowns are the thing. So you're going to be happy.
Oh, he'll be happy. More clown on clown violence.
Nice. Dylan, go ahead. Add those scores up.
All right, so adding them all together, we come out to 4.5, which is a pretty good score.
It's perfect.
Let's see, that ties it at number 22 with The Lost Boys and Back to the Future.
Wow. Who would have thought Hell House would be with Back to the Future, man?
When you mix genres like this, it's things can get convoluted, but it's fine. I love it. I just love seeing where these things go.
Mm-hmm.
So, I fucking loved the original Joker movie. And I could not wait for this movie to come out, part 2, Deuce. I've been watching like creeper fucking little things that people are leaking out for years now. Like, I can't wait. I finally saw it. Don't bother. I was yelling, fuck you at the screen the whole time. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. That movie is a fucking 0 rewatch score. Don't watch it. It sucks. Wow. There you go. It just saved you 2 hours of your life. Okay? Okay.
Hell House.
I mean, I honestly don't know what they thought they were doing. They made a musical based on a movie that was almost like
Taxi Driver.
Like Taxi Driver, and then they made a musical out of it. It's like, what are you doing?
Dude, it's the fucking worst piece of shit ever. Okay.
We took a turn.
Next week, we will be reviewing Hereditary. We will be doing this with Michelle, who has not joined the show since Starship Troopers back in our first few episodes.
Yes, how am I losing Hereditary to somebody?
Because she's coming to visit, and I said, will you do the podcast so we don't have to ask somebody else? And she was like, yeah, if we can do Hereditary. I was like, okay.
There you go. Mystery solved.
Sorry.
That's why we're doing Hereditary.
My toes. My toes.
We'll get you in on Midsommar when we do it next summer.
All right.
This is a movie that I have seen. I don't remember loving it, but we'll see.
Oh.
You didn't. I loved it, but you didn't.
Yeah. Okay. And on
we're
our
tipping
sister
our hat, but
on our sister podcast, Violent Vinyl Radio, we will be breaking down Bloody Kisses by Typo Negative as we go into the Halloween season. And for Halloween, I will tell you right now, we are doing Fastway's Trick or Treat album. So there you go. Yeah, awesome. And if you would like to listen to the Sammy Kerr Trick or Treat episode that we did last Halloween with Tony, I suggest you go back and check that out because it was a lot of fun. Okay, Rock Warriors, that'll do it for this episode. Until next time, I got one question for you. Hey, did y'all see that movie? See you next time. Boo.